Hello and welcome back to this channel. If you are a new subscriber, I say thank you for subscribing, and if you're an existing subscriber, I say thanks. I love you so much. Now, if you don't know why I'm here, I think I need to still reintroduce. Yes, I'm here to simplify biology related topics, and of course during exam times like this, some of you wrote JAM and some are done, some are still writing. The examination for the JAM 2025 will be out by 7th of May. Today is just 3rd of May 2025, and of course I'm here again for a special reason. Yes, you guessed right, as you just saw in one of my shots, that the 2025 biology practical specimen is out, and that's why I'm here, of course, to walk you through as your tour guide. Now, once the white paper is out, I'm always here to give you possible questions from the specimen. Yes, and to guide you while you read, so that it makes you so courageous when you enter into the hall. You raise your shoulder high, you walk in, and you are sure of acing that examination. Now, just like I stated earlier, that the white paper is out, meaning that the specimen that WAEC expects you or your school or your biology teacher to provide is already out. Now, I'll be projecting the pictures while I'll be giving a voiceover. Now, these questions are not really, this specimen are not really something new, because some of them were familiar with it. Actually, WAEC did not really bring tough specimen. But why did I say so? You will get to find out. Now, I'm here to walk you through, to guide you, to raise possible questions. Yes, I laid emphasis on possible questions, so that when you are reading, you are already certain of where you're reading, diagrams, botanical names to take note of, possible questions to take note of. Yes, another thing you need to note when I start displaying the specimen, another requirements or apparatus that WAEC has asked your biology teacher to provide for you, you'd find out that there is going to be a food test in this year's biology practical examination for WAEC this year 2025. Why did I say so? One of the reagents WAEC asked your school to provide is 1% copper sulfate solution and sodium hydroxide. Now, these two reagents are always used in a protein test. And what kind of protein test? There are so many types of protein tests. We have xanthoprotein test, we have BIURET test, we have millions reagent test and all that. But whenever you hear the words 1% copper sulfate solution and then sodium hydroxide, you just know that that test is for is a test for protein, that is particularly BIURET test for protein. So I won't want to talk much. Let's just dive right into specimen A, B, C, up to specimen J. Now imagine they will stop at J. That's to tell you that you are already sure they are acing this exam if you follow my step-by-step video and watch. The video might not be, I might not finish all the specimen because I wouldn't want this video to be lengthy. But if wherever I stop in my subsequent video, I'll take up from wherever I stop and continue from there. All right, see you as I continue. All right, so as you can see on the picture, the first specimen, that is specimen A, beans weevil. That's the image of a beans weevil, and the botanical name is Acanthocylidis obtectus. So sometimes you need to know these names because you can never know. Now another thing is when they ask for botanical names like this, always when you write the first one, that's the Acanthocylidis, should start with a capital letter A, and it should be underlined separately from the second one starting with small letter O. Now, a weevil, where does it fall under? It is an insect. Where does insect fall under? Insect is what we call phylum Insecta, and all insects belong to is under the class Insecta, and the class Insecta belongs to the phylum Arthropoda. So in case you ask specimen A belongs to what phylum, it should be noted right, and your answer should be phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta. Give reason for why it is in class insecta. All insects are known to have 3 pairs of legs. They are known to have 3 pairs of legs. If you look in that picture, you see that it has 3 pairs of legs. It is something like spider that has 4 pairs of legs, meaning that they have total of 8 legs. Insects have 3 pairs of legs, meaning that they have total of 6 legs. Insects also have wings. Then these are the reasons why is he a class insecta. Why does it belong to class insecta? It's because it has 3 pairs of legs. It has, or it possesses, not it has, presence of 3 pairs of legs, presence of wings. Insects also are known to have antennas, presence of antennas. So when you write these answers, this is a very good way to get your points. The next possible question they will ask you about beans weevil. They may ask you the relationship between specimen A and B. Questions that we ask you between A and B is very possible because A is what beans weevil and B is what beans seed. So in beans seed, you already know that the weevil feeds on the word seed. They may ask you something about specimen B. And what I ask you is, why does specimen B have seeds, or why do they have holes in the bean seed? It is as a result of the pests, because specimen A is also a pest. And what kind of the mass economic importance of specimen A? Economic importance means the good and the bad. What are the good? The insect has a way of what are the bad? It destroys the grain, the bean seed rather. It causes damage to the farmer's crop and reduces the market value of the bean seed, and then it reduces the nutritional value of the bean seed. Then it's there may not be any good side to it, but it can also help in maybe breaking down the bean seed and making it available if the farmer wants to use it for manure. You get, but it's always good you say the bad or the positive side, the negative side. Then let's go into specimen B. I don't want to make this video lengthy, so I'll just be dropping some of the points you need to know. Notes. So as you can see, specimen B in the picture is bean seed with holes. I've spoken that the most likely question. Let's start with the botanical name. What's the botanical name? You need to know. Phaseolus vulgaris. Phaseolus vulgaris. You need to know the spelling, know how to write the name, know how to underline it. Always the first name is called the species name. Then the first name is called the generic name. The P there is the generic. The P that starts the generic name or general name must start with a capital letter. While the V that starts the specific or species name must start with a small letter. You must underline it separately. So the bean seed is an annual plant. It's also a diocote, not a monocot. The bean seed gives protein. It belongs to the plants we refer to as under agricultural classification. It is classified as a legume or a pod, but we use the word legume. It's under life cycle classification is an annual plant. Then under botanical classification, you have given the name and it belongs to the diocots, not monocots, meaning that it has to say the word leaf. Another thing you also might ask, why does he have holes? Because of the pest called the beans weevil that has infested on it. The matter, what are those whitish things around it? Those whitish things around it are also the eggs that have been laid by this weevil as they feed on it, which will later hatch into the larva. Okay, let's go into the next specimen, specimen C. Alright, so we're going to the next specimen, which is specimen C. As you can see in the video, it is a water leaf plant, a whole complete water leaf plant with the roots. So it has to be like that on your table on that day. Now you need to know the botanical name. The botanical name of water leaf plants is Talinum triangulare. Now you also need to know that this plant is a diocote, not a monocot like the bean. In case they ask you, another thing you need to know about this plant is that it has the kind of leaf it has. That's the kind of venation rather it has. The venation means the way the veins on the leaf is arranged. Is it net venation or parallel? The venation is what we call net venation. Net venation. Then the shape of the leaf. The shape of the leaf is what we call pinnate type of leaf, because the venation is what, and the shape of the leaf is pinnate because it has a round head. Sometimes we also refer to, there's another name we call it. I'll try to remember that. Then so that's it. ungulates. I'll remember that. Then you need to also know that the leaf, this water leaf plant, is it annual or perennial? Some species can grow within 1 year. That's 1 year grow, cultivated, flower and die. That is, some of them are annual plants, some are perennial, some can use more than 1 year. Another thing you need to know about this plant is the plant is the economic importance or benefit, nutritional benefit of this plant. It serves as food to man, food to some animals like some goats and other plants. It's also highly beneficial in terms of adding nutrients, blood, and another nutritional benefits. Is also a cash crops that can be sold. So these are the things you need to know about these plants. Then we'll go to the next one, specimen Z. All right, so before we go to specimen Z, water leaf, I want to say something on specimen A and B that I forgot. Another possible question that I ask you on specimen A is which is beans weevil, is the mode of nutrition, or what kind of insects or mouth parts does he have? You said that this insect belongs to what we call the boring insect that bore hole into the seed. They are not biting and chewing insect like grasshopper or cockroach. They are insects that we call boring insects. The examples of other insects that are boring insects are maize weevil, rice beetle, beans weevil. They have the ability to bore hole into the seed or the grain, and when they do this, what do? They eat up the seed. Number one, they eat up the seed. Number two, they reduce the yield of the seed, and number three, they introduce disease into the seed. This is what you need to note. Then another thing is specimen B, I forgot to say, is that specimen B is, apart from I've stated that is an annual plant, I need to tell you that the shape of the leaf is not pinnate, but the shape of the leaf is palmate lobed shape. Palmate. Lobed is now Lobed. So it's a palmate lobed shaped leaf. But the venation of the leaf is net venation, not parallel. Net, N-E-T, net venation. Another thing you need to know about specimen B, which is still the specimen C, specimen C, that's the shape of the leaf. I've said it's palmate, and the venation of the leaf is net venation. Is that specimen C, water leaf, they can ask you the mode of cultivating or the mode of propagating or growing the plant, that's the water leaf. You can tell them that the mode of propagation or growing it is by stem, vegetative propagation, whereby you use a part of the plant like the stem. You can cut the stem of that water leaf and use it to grow another water leaf plant. Another question to ask you is, I've said about the economic importance and the nutritional value, is that it is high in fiber. It serves as a thickener. That's why people use it as a thickener in their soup, and also a good highly rich in protein, calcium, fiber, and nutrients. If I remember, I will still add it. So now let's go into specimen Z. Specimen Z is what we call the quill feathers of a domestic fowl. Now, the quill feather is also called the flight feather. It is a contour feather, but it is a special type of contour feather that is used for flight. Where is it found? I ask you. Specimen Z is found on the wings and the tail of the domestic fowl. This feather is thick. It is stiff and large, or a bit big. It is also towards the end of the feather, it has what we call the down contour. The down contour helps to bring about insulation or warmness of the body of the domestic fowl to make it warm. Then if you look at the image, you see the part where I labeled the rachis or the calamus, like the part where you can hold, you can refer to it. If it's a leaf, you call it the stem, but this one you call it the rachis or the calamus. Then towards that end of that feather is the down contour that are tiny and they go downwards, or sometimes refer to it as the down barbs. They help to bring insulation or heat or warmness to the bed, but the up part is gives you the ability to fly. Another thing you need to know is that it is a contour feather, but a special contour feather that is for flight. If I have any other thing to add to the quill feather, I will add as time goes on. So let me move to the next specimen, specimen E. So specimen E, as you can see in the diagram, is the longitudinal section of the pineapple fruit. Now, the pineapple fruit is, as you can see, is a fruit that I won't want to say much on the two fruits. I'll bring another day for fruits, pineapple specimen E and orange specimen F, because there's a lot of things to say, talking about whether they are berries or not. Like orange is a berry, but it's a special type of berry we call the Hesperidium. The berries are known to be succulent. They have juice and they have soft seed that you can chew sometimes and swallow. Another example of berries, tomatoes. Sometimes when you're eating it, you can just chew the seed. Sometimes when you're also taking your orange, you can also chew the seed because the seed is soft. Unlike the seed of drupe like mango or coconut, you can't chew the seed, it's hard. I'll talk about pineapple as fruits, pineapple and orange on a later day because there are a lot to see. Now I'm going into specimen G, which is a raw egg of a domestic fowl. It has to be an egg that is fresh and has the shell intact. As you can see in that picture, the picture shows images of the egg, has the shell for protecting the egg from dryness or desiccation, has the air space for bringing about little movement, and you can see other functions of the air space from the diagram. You also have the yolk. The yolk is the part that gives is a source of food to the young growing embryo if it is a fertilized egg. But that is why as the egg keeps incubating, the domestic fowl lays the egg and puts it inside the ground and covers it. It needs it to be warm. While the egg is staying there, to stay there for 21 days. Then by the 21st day, it will be ready to hatch into a chick. So while the egg is there in that warm place, the yolk is feeding the young chick, but it's not called a chick. At that point, you call it an embryo. So the size of the yolk is large because the egg is fresh. When the egg is getting to 21 days, the size of the yolk is very tiny and small. By that time, it has almost finished because the chick is now bigger and ready to be hatched. And that embryo chick that was feeding on the yolk, it has fed on the yolk, and then the yolk is already finished. So it is now telling you that the chick is now mature and ready to be hatched. Now the chalaza is like an egg white that is coiled into a cord to hold the yolk in place. The vertebral membrane is a membrane that covers the yolk. We call it the yolk membrane, keeps the yolk intact. We also have the egg white or the albumen. The albumen or egg white is the part that is white when we boil the egg. It is also a part that helps to also give nutrients to the egg. Then we have the germinal disc. That was where fertilization occurred, where the sperm of the male bird, we call the cock, met with the female bird, we call the hen, to fertilize and form the chick. Remember that the egg you fry and eat is an unfertilized egg. That's why you don't see a chick when you open it to fry it. But once it's a fertilized egg, it should be kept somewhere to hatch after 21 days to form a chick. Another thing you need to know about is that they may ask you, that egg white, they may definitely ask you to, they told the school to provide you with reagent and syringe, a plastic syringe without needle. Why? You will use that syringe, and you will need that syringe rather to take some portion of your egg whites. That's what you are going to use for your protein test, because in a protein test, particularly in a BIURET protein test, that's what you are going to do, because the reagent that they ask the school to provide for you is sodium hydroxide and 1% copper sulfate solution, and you only use sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate solution for BIURET test for protein. So, and in that BIURET test, the specimen you use is the egg whites. So when you ask to take your egg white, be careful, don't allow the yolk to enter. So you're going to use your egg white, mix some drops of sodium hydroxide. Then I will still give another video for food test, how you are going to present your result analysis for a food test, how you are going to record your answer in a tabular form. Using the first portion will be your test, the second portion of your table will be your inference, and the third portion of the table, you are going to rule it into 3, will be your your observation. Sorry, it will be your test, your observation, and the third portion will be your inference. I will tell you how you're going to answer that kind of question in another of my video. Then back to that, they may also ask you this egg white, what kind of fertilization does it occur? Domestic fowl carries out what we call external fertilization, meaning that it carries out what we call internal fertilization, meaning that the male fowl will climb on the female fowl and introduce sperm into the body of the female. So the fertilization is inside the body of the female. That is why it's called internal fertilization. When the sperm is introduced through the clucker that is where the sperm will enter, and it will go to swim to the egg and fertilize the egg. Then it will stay in there, and then when it is now ready, it will now lay the egg. Then the development process is outside the body of the egg, where it will now develop. They may ask you also what kind of, is it external, internal? Is internal fertilization. Then they may ask you what type of, is it viviparous, oviparous, or oviviparous. Now oviparous lay eggs, but the eggs they lay are what? Fertilized egg. That's why it is oviparous. Viviparous do not lay eggs, they give birth to the young ones alive. They produce egg inside their body, but that is human being, they don't lay the eggs. Inside there is where the egg will be fertilized. When during sexual intercourse, the sperm will meet to the egg and fertilize it, and that is oviparous. And then oviparous, in viviparous, they feed from the placenta of the mother. That is what viviparous do. But in oviparous, they feed from the nutrients in the yolk of the egg. That is what, but they don't feed on placenta. It's only viviparous that feed on placenta. Then in ovoviviparous is that they lay eggs, and these eggs are most of the times fertilized, but the eggs development will be done not in the maternal body. So that is this. Then another thing you need to know is for specimen H is water in a test tube. That water will be used for your food test, of course. When you are going to do the video of food test, when you are going to use your egg white and you're going to react it with the reagent, sodium hydroxide and 1% copper sulfate. Then specimen J is longitudinal section of boiled egg, as you can see in the diagram with the shell. Make sure when you're cutting it from top to bottom, that is longitudinal section. But transverse section, like your orange, you're cutting it from left to right with your scapula or your knife given to you. Then your Bunsen burner is for heating. In case you are going to heat, you use your Bunsen burner. All right, so with this said, I'll stop here, and in my subsequent video I'll give you more explanations. Stay tuned and do not miss out. Good luck and see you. Bye. All right, see you as I continue.